Hey, y'all, welcome back to the Late Night Vision Show. This is episode number 365. My name is Jason Robertson, owner of Outdoor Legacy, one of your co hosts. My other co host, partner in crime, Hans. What's going on tonight, buddy?
It is a great time to be alive. You know, the sun is coming out a lot. I'd say that it's raining today
I was
or
going to
rainy
say the
day.
sun, yeah,
I
it's
know,
raining.
I know. We have had a lot of rain lately, but man, I tell you, everything's getting warmer. People are talking about jumping back in the pool. I'm sorry if you're way up north and you're still getting snow, but down here in Texas, everything's starting to bloom. Jason, I don't know if you ever had to do this, but my daughter's in seventh grade and they have to do a wild flower project every year. This is not every year, but seventh grade year. And it's
Okay.
for Texas history class. So they got to go out and collect all these different species of wildflowers. I think they have to get like 35 different. Well, I'm going to
Oh,
tell you, this
gosh.
is like my wife's Super Bowl. Like she lives for this project. And she's like jumping out and picking all these wildflowers and I'm pulling off on the side of the road like on dangerous interstates, so she can hop out. I'm like, this wildflower is not worth our life. This is not a good thing. But yeah, hey, wildflowers are blooming and it's spring just kind of makes you feel alive again, refreshed. Anyway, speaking of wildflowers, if you are looking to buy a brand new night vision thermal optic,
Off the rails in the first 90
I
seconds.
know.
Go
If you're
ahead.
looking to buy, I can't even do it with a straight face. If you're looking to buy a night vision or thermal optic and you need some help, hey, I get it. You watch reviews, you watch these videos. There's so many choices out there. It's confusing. It really is. I mean, for Jason and I, there's so many models. It gets hard for us to even remember what the prices of these things are anymore. So I can't imagine being brand new into it like a lot of you are that have never even had much experience behind a thermal, trying to decide which one you need. There's so many things to consider. And yes, watching reviews and videos is a great part of the basic start of research. But you really got to talk to people that have used this stuff, that have used a lot of scopes for a lot of years to help you get to a point where you can finally decide what you want. Now, it's not about you calling somebody and saying, hey, you got to get this one. If you don't get it, you're making a mistake. But it's about talking with something. It's kind of like a counselor, Jason, where you go and
Yeah,
like in
kind of is.
school, you're like, hey, this is what you kind of got to look at and look for and narrow it down to two or three good options. And then you make the decision based on what you feel like you want, you like. Anyway, 877-350-1818, outdoorlegacy.com. That's what we're here for. We don't just do this show. Yes, we will call you. And that's what we do all day, every day. So we'd love to talk to you. Anyway, today, I don't think, Jason, we've ever done a show specifically about QD mounts. This is a big major topic. Now, I want to back up. Several years ago, 10 years ago, QD mounts were available. They're definitely not as common as they are right now. Back 10 years ago, you had to specifically seek out and buy a QD mount for your thermal scope. It's not like, I don't know of any of them that like came standard with a scope, Jason. I mean, I know
No.
you could get some of them, but you couldn't, it wasn't coming with standard with scopes. Now, these days, I'm gonna be honest with you, most scopes do come with some type of QD mount, whether it's a branded or like an American Defense manufacturing mount, or it may be a mount that's manufactured by the scope manufacturer, and sent with the scope. So it is way more common these days. Well, now that they're common, people are like asking, hey, how reliable are these? What do I need to do to ensure that I'm going to get maximum and accurate repeatability? These are important questions, and we've never really done a show dedicated to this because there are some questions on like, okay, one lever versus two throw levers, what's better? What situations are, am I going to maybe experience less accurate repeatability? So we're going to address all these questions, and from a perspective of going from, an industry that really didn't see a lot of QD mounts to now it's almost a necessity when you buy a scope to get a QD mount. And the reason, Jason, before I bring you in, the reason why these are so popular, QD mounts are so popular, so sought after. And if you don't know what a QD mount is, a quick detach mount, it gives you the ability to you sight the scope in, zero the scope. It gives you the ability to take the scope on and off the rifle without having to re-zero your rifle every time. So when you hear QD mount, quick release mount, that's what that means. It gives you the option or the chance to take it on and off without re-zeroing. So I wanted to, for people
Yeah,
like, what's a QD mount?
sure.
But Jason, let's talk about the different styles first of all of QD mounts. I
Yeah.
know you've got several of them there with you.
So one thing I even want to point out too is you said something which I agree, and it's the way I would explain it. I would say you can take it off and on, put it back, and it will, hold at zero. But even if you're not doing that, let's just say you're the guy who says, I don't trust these things, I don't believe it, I'm going to re-zero every time. That's perfectly fine. But when you do pull it off, at least all it requires is opening and closing a lever. So even if you don't trust it, you can take it off and put it back on in 2.5 seconds versus getting out your, Allen wrench set and having to take it completely off. So I think that's nice, even if it's something like I may only take this off once or twice a year and I'm going to re-zero. Well, at least it's still quick and easy. So I'm going to show you some different options. And I want to show you, let's show this thing first right here. Okay, this is a small mount here. You can see single lever and you can see this. It is, and I'll show it even this way. It squeezes down on your rail and this is your little quick detach lever. Now, some people understandably are new to this and go, I don't know, do I have a quick detach mount or not? So I'm going to show you a couple examples of this is not a quick detach lever. This is off of an older style scope, and you can see it's got these little thumb screws. Okay, these thumb screws. This is not a return to zero mount. All right. Here's another example. Um, this this mount right here, you can see these are actually kind of loose. Uh, Basically, again, more thumb screws. That's not a return to zero mount. There's way too many things involved. You are tensioning this every time. And with your fingers and your thumbs, it's not made to be a return to zero mount. Could you take that off and put it back on and maybe be close or within a pie plate? Absolutely. Could you put it back on and maybe hit the same bullet hole? You could win the lottery. That could happen, but that's not what those mounts are made for. You will recognize a quick detach mount by the quick detach lever. Everything I have here, I'm just looking to make sure, everything I have here today that is a quick detach is American Defense mount. Let me just quickly say, a shameless plug. We are huge American Defense fans of not only their mounts, but also their rifles. Hans and I believe American Defense makes the finest mounts in the industry. They are American made in Wisconsin, American sourced aluminum and parts. I was talking to them a couple weeks ago and they were making that comment that the tariffs were not affecting them because they're sourcing everything here in the United States, lifetime warranty on all these mounts. And what you're going to find is these mounts are used by almost every manufacturer, all the quality thermal manufacturers, the big thermal brands are using these. You buy certain pulsar scopes, they're coming with an American Defense mount. Infrared Outdoor, Knockpicks, they're using some, American Defense
Envi-
mounts.
Envision.
Envision, yeah,
Yeah.
Envision has always come standard with a American Defense mount. AGM, all of their thermal scopes come with an American Defense mount. I think there was a time period when Rick's a couple years ago was, you bought a scope and you got an American Defense mount. So there is the big brands know where the quality is, and that's where the
We
market has spoken. So
we had to, yeah. Jason, before we started the show, was wearing an American Defense Manufacturing hat, and I said, "Yeah, man, that's
it
a little
might
bit
might
too much.
might be
We
too
got to take
much.
that
Might
off.
be too
That's a
much. I
little."
took it off. I didn't want to. Yeah, but no, we are huge fans of American Defense. Again, their rifles as well as these mounts. But if you want a quality mount, American Defense makes one for any quality top brand thermal out there. They have a mount for it. All right. So, well, maybe within reason. I can think of a couple things that may not, but most of them. All right. So, going on with this, I'm going to show you a couple different things. This is an example. Well, here, this is the American Defense Recon mount. We use this for any 30 millimeter tube scope. We sell these $240. We've sold thousands of these, thousands and thousands. These are fantastic. Again, AGM is including these with their 30 millimeter tube scopes now. Pulsar's doing it with their 60 millimeter, new 60 millimeter lens scopes. Fantastic mount. You can use this for your daytime optic as well. Okay. These two mounts, I'll show you. These are mounts for AGM scopes, and I'm doing a lot of on-screen demonstrations, and they're very hard to do with this microphone sitting here. So bear with
Yeah.
me. But
People
what you're going
sitting
to
in their
see
cars
is
are like, this is awesome. Go
exactly.
watch
Yeah,
it on
you're going to
YouTube.
have to go to YouTube to watch this. So what you've got here is a single lever and a dual lever mount. They're the same basic mount. You're not gaining, any. Some people think that this mount will let you set it further back, but it won't, because if you look at it, it's actually, this one actually sits back. The single lever actually sits back a touch further, not much, but a little. But what you've got is the dual lever is actually in front, so it's not really extending anything back. Let's talk about that briefly. This is a big debate, and we have asked Tom Stewart of American Defense. We've had him on our show before, and we have flat out asked him. I mean, they're the people who engineer, design, and build these. Is the single lever sufficient? Do you need the dual lever? And their answer is that the single levers work. They work just fine. Yes, some people are more confident with these, dual levers. What I will tell you is, and it kind of depends on the scope. Some come with two, some come with one. If you left it up to Hans and I, they'd all come with a single lever. Why? Because we've seen over the years the single lever works perfectly fine. It does all that it needs to do. It holds, and now we're not even talking about returning to zero now. We're just talking about holding. A lot of people are concerned, well, I got this heavy scope and I got one little contact point. That's not enough. Well, if you look at Envision, which those are American made, extremely high end thermal rifle scopes, really one of the only American made brands. They are, and their scopes are pretty large. You take their Halo X and their XRF, X50, they're pretty big scopes, and they're using a very small single lever quick detach mount. Trust me, they're selling $8, $9, $10,000 scopes. If they thought that it was a one lever wasn't going to work, they wouldn't be selling them that way. So all I'm going to say is, if you end up with a scope and it's got a single lever and it is a quality mount like an American Defense mount, do not worry about it at all. Just don't. It's going to work. Now, if you're that guy that just cannot be confident, just know it doesn't matter how much science is involved, it doesn't matter how much logic, you won't be confident, then that's understandable. You do need to be confident. And I think that's going to be the theme of this show as we go along, is you need to be confident. And if you can't prove it to yourself enough to be confident, then you need to do what it requires. That's what makes you a better shooter and a better hunter, is being confident in your not only your skill, but in your equipment. If you just have to go try to pick up a dual lever and make that purchase, you can. But we definitely think that the single lever, we know the single lever
Oh
will do
yeah,
what it needs to.
I do. I like the single point contact because, and I may say this, and people will run out there and be
Oh
like,
gosh, I'm already worried.
don't get 2 point, contacts, because it's going to make it off. But when you have a 2 point contact like this ADM recon mount, which work fabulous, it's difficult to, maybe almost impossible, to get both levers to the same exact tension. So it can cause the scope to cant a little bit. Now that's not a big deal, but with the single point, I mean, you're not having to worry about that perfect alignment, I think. So both are great, but I prefer also the single point or the single throw lever mount. I just think it is for accuracy. There's no problem with it. It's easier. It's smaller, lighter weight. Yeah. I mean, people are concerned about it, and I understand it. They think, well, if one is good, 1 point of contact is good, then two is double better, right?
Correct.
It's not always the case, but there are people out there, Jason, that are watching this and listening, and they're expert long range shooters, because we talk to them all day long. And there might be some things that they disagree with, or preferences. Maybe not disagreements, preferences. People prefer different things. But in the context of night hunting and the repeatability of these mounts and the quality of these mounts, I rarely ever, of all the thousands and thousands of scopes that we've sold with QD mounts with them, I mean, the call, the callbacks or the people calling in saying, "Hey, I'm concerned about my scope, the mount not holding zero." Rarely ever do we get a call like that, and if we
Well, and when we
do,
do, we find out it's not the
it's
mount.
not. Yeah,
It ends up
exactly.
being
So
ammo or something else is going
something
on, or the
else,
mount's
or
not properly tensioned. That's something. I'm gonna let you go ahead. I'm
yeah.
gonna get into that here in just a second.
So rarely are these things having an issue, and so much so that a customer would be complaining about. So that's a pretty good track record with these things, especially with the fact of people are very, and we need to talk about, people are very particular, understandably, about their rifles, taking them on and off, and zero. People are real particular about the zero of their rifle, understandably. So with all that taken into account, and still the success of these, and people being able to use these, using a scope as a monocular and then be able to put it back on, and use it as a scope. That's where this really allows you to do that. I hear you
Yeah,
fidgeting
I'm
something,
getting
but I see
ready. I'm
you're
getting
about to
ready.
show me something really good.
I'll
What
show you
what you got
something.
for
All
me?
right.
Yeah,
These on-screen demonstrations never work on this. It's just always too hard. Okay,
yeah.
so what I've got here is I've got a standard AR upper. This is something I dug this out of the gun safe. I didn't want to take apart a rifle that I was using, so this is just kind of an old style AR upper. Now I've got one of these mounts on here, and I'm going to show you an example. This is the dual lever. Okay, this demonstration is to show you properly tensioned, because I tell people they work returning to zero if they're properly tensioned. And so I'm going to show you some examples of, improperly tensioned. All right, this right here. It's on here. It's not going anywhere, but look. I don't know if you can see this or hear this, but there is this movement. You can feel it. If you grab it, you've just, I know it's just
Yeah, you
really
shouldn't
hard
be
to see.
able to. You shouldn't be
It's
able to
moving.
wiggle it at all.
If
Yeah.
you're watching this video, you can see it. It's wiggling. All right, that is too loose. You go, well, that's obvious. Okay, so then here's what happens. This is, in my opinion, almost equally as bad. Maybe not equally as bad, but it's bad. And this is what happens here. So I'm going to put this one on here. This is so hard to do with one hand. All right, and I'm going to go to lock this. I want you to watch this. See, watch this lever. Okay, look, I can't. Now look how much strength I just got to lock. That is bad. And a lot of people do that because they believe, well, I don't want it loose. I want that thing tight. Here's what's wrong with that. Number one, I probably can't even get this off on
About
screen.
to say.
I'm going to, yeah, it's going to take what you need almost as vice grips. I'm going to have to, I may not get this off. And then my whole demo goes away. So yes, it's really, really hard. So here's what the deal is. Boy, this is I feel like this is, okay, got it off.
I'm remembering a video that I saw several years ago. The same instance of this
Oh
happening
yeah,
to
I know what
somebody
you're
else.
talking about. Yeah. So here's the problem with that. The problem with that is you are putting, man, I mean, I have like hurt my fingers here trying to get this off, is you're using mechanical leverage and you are grinding into your rail. If I look right now, I guarantee you I've got a gouge in this rail where I probably knocked the paint off. And you're going to do that over and over. And what's going to happen is you are literally grinding into that rail and putting so much leverage that the next time you do that, it could be just a little bit of a different angle because you've got all this leverage when you're tightening that. You don't want it that tight. So then let me give you an example of a properly tensioned. Okay, so you're going to put this on here, and I'm going to tell you one more thing in just a second that's important. So then we're going to come in here into that right there. Did you see that? I mean, this will not move. It is on here tight, but look how easy I can open that. I open that up, boom, right there. And that I want finger, one finger, little bit of pressure right at the end, okay? And that's it. And then I want to be able to take my thumb and my finger and open it up. Now, okay, I'm going to show you a couple more things.
I've put one on so bad. You remember this many years ago. I put a QD mount on
This was
so tight one time on a FLIR scope. I had to drill it out to get it off of there.
I
And
do recall.
you do not want to over tighten it. I promise you
Don't
that.
over tighten it.
Yeah.
Couple things on these American Defense mounts. Not every mount's the same way, but these American Defense, the way that you tighten them, this confuses a lot of people. I'm going to try to show this. They see this little slot and they try to put a screwdriver on it and turn it, and it doesn't work. That's
Hmm.
because it is recessed. This little bolt is. What you do is you open it up. I'm going to just try to show this. This is not going to work well. You see that coming out? You press that, and once you press that, it comes. This is so hard on screen. It comes out of here, and now you can twist this. You can adjust this nut, and that makes this tighter or looser. So you just open it, press in. This nut comes out on the other side. That's how you do that. Now, so I'm going to show you a couple more quick things. All right. So I've got this. I just showed you. I've got it on this upper right here, and it was nice and snug. Okay, now this is the question that people ask. Can I move this around and does it hold zero? And I always give the caveat of if your rail is exactly the same on every rifle. So all these Picatinny rails are built to mil spec, and there's some variations allowed in there in those mil specs. So between two different Picatinny rails, you can have one that's wider, one that's narrower. They can be perfectly the same. People don't like to think this, but these are not American Defense rifles. These two uppers are from the exact same brand, a very known, very well-known name brand. I pulled both these off. These are identical. Okay, so I'm going to put this right here, and I'm going to show you. Look at this. See how loose that is? I mean, that is loose as a goose, and it perfectly tensioned on an identical rifle from the same or upper from the same manufacturer. That's what you can get into. So now I would have to take and I would have to retension this to properly fit that. When you start getting into that, now I'm going to be very concerned about your repeatability. So,
Hmm.
yes, can I move this from one rifle to another? Yes, as long as and will it hold zero? I will say again, yes, as long as you're not having to adjust the tension. That is a perfect example of what can happen. So what I can't do is I can't tell you is every one of your rifles, the Picatinny rail, 100% the same spec. The next one you may put it on, you may get over there and you can't even close the lever because it's too wide. Now you've got to, loosen it and retension it. That's not going to be good. Okay, you're
Hmm.
not going to be able to retension these between every rifle and hold zero. One last thing I want to say, and this is obvious to most people, but it is important, and that is when you pull the mount off and you put it back, it needs to go into the exact same Picatinny slot that you took it out of. Don't put it 3 slots forward or 3 slots back. That can definitely change your zero. It needs to go exactly where it was. People say, well, how do I do that? Especially if I'm taking this thing off, using it as a monocular, and it's dark and I'm putting it back on. A lot of different options. Some guys will use glow in the dark paint or fingernail polish or something to kind of mark that. Another thing I've seen people do, which is really smart, is you can buy these little plastic rail covers and
Hmm.
you can put them over your rail and they'll actually say,
Yeah.
put them right here, and then when you go to put your mount, you just put it all the way up against that. Well, I'm terrible at these on-screen deals. You just put it right up against that so hey, I bumped it. I can't go any further forward. I'm in the same spot every single time. So that's an option too. You just have to be careful. Otherwise, maybe it's just counting and looking, but that's going to be harder to do if you're doing this,
Hmm.
taking it off and on in the dark. So, end of the day, all my little demos here, I want to say one more thing. We are dealing with all American Defense mounts here, and that's
Hmm.
really not just to give this plug to American Defense. It's because that's who the manufacturers are using because they, are the best. There are other quick detach mounts from other manufacturers. There's some manufacturers now that are having OEM mounts made. Okay, that means they're having a quick detach mount made, and people say, is that good enough? Is that quality good enough? And I'm going to say it depends. I think some of those mounts are nice. I think they hold zero. We've tested them, had good luck with them. But don't make the mistake of thinking that every single mount you find anywhere that has a quick detach lever of some kind is a guaranteed return to zero mount.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you may find some little off-brand mount. You may find a name brand of another company that makes mounts all the time, and you may go, "Oh, well, I know them. It's got to be good." Test it. Okay, if it's an American Defense, we know. Anything else, I would say you need to test that for yourself to
Mm-hmm.
know. Hans, so
Yeah.
I know you've kind of got into this, and I've kind of got into, do they really return to zero? Let's talk about when we say do they return to zero. Does that mean? I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to pretend because this is
I'm
definitely
glad
not
you're
me.
doing this
I,
because I'm
I,
so lost in our outline right now.
we don't have an outline
Yeah.
anymore. All right, so I'm a long range shooter.
Yeah.
I'm shooting targets, at 800, 1,000 yards, and I'm out here. I need my bullet holes touching. I've
Mm-hmm.
got this extremely high end rifle, and hand load ammo. Everything is perfect, and for whatever reason, I want to use a thermal scope and try to do this, and I always go immediately like, well, that's not what thermal scopes are made for. But let's just
Yeah.
say we hear
Yeah.
this. I want to do this. I take this off, and then I put it back on. Am I going to keep all my bullets in the exact same hole at 1,000 yards? Is it that accurate every single time?
Yeah.
Or is this just something? If you're hunting at 100 to 300 yards, it's good. What's your
Yeah.
answer to that?
My answer is if you are a long range shooter, don't get into night hunting. No, I'm joking. No,
Gosh,
uh, it'll drive you crazy.
our
No,
sales just went to zero.
it
Yeah.
plummeted. Yeah, because I talk to long range shooters all the time. It's so different. But here's the thing: what everybody wants to know: do QD mounts work? That's all they care about. Hey, does it work? Can I trust it if I'm going to go out and take it on and off to shoot hogs, coyotes? If can I trust it if I'm going to go out deer hunting and I've been chasing deer for 3 years and only got one chance to, one shot to do it? Here's what I would say: if you're a long range shooter and you are, and man, long range shooters are very, when you talk about particular, they're particular about everything: their mounts, their optics, their rifles, ammo.
Sure.
And they also are very particular about uh, the point of their point of impact and what MOA and all that kind of stuff. So if you are expecting to go out and shoot long range with a thermal optic, long range and thermals don't even go hand in hand. But if you
That's
want to be
right.
able to go out, take it on and off, and put bullet hole on top of bullet hole at 800 yards, I would say that's a very high expectation for any
Mm-hmm.
thermal scope and any QD mount, to tell you the
Mm-hmm.
truth.
Mm-hmm.
If you're wondering if you're a hunter and you want to go out and shoot coyotes and hogs and whatever else, and you want to be able to take it on and off and not have a problem with being able to, take care of or drop an animal, you're not going to have a problem. So every one of these scopes that we test that come with QD mounts, Jason and I both are constantly taking them on and off rifles. I've got rifles beside me right now. I switch scopes. I take them on and off. I hunt with them. I rarely hunt with the same optic back to back. So I'm taking it off, putting another one back on, and switching them all the time. And I don't re-zero. I zero it once and I never re-zero it again. So we're constantly, and we're looking at point of impact and all that kind of stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
if you are wondering, can you take your scope off your rifle and go out and shoot hogs and coyotes at several hundreds and hundreds of yards away? Yes, you absolutely can. If you're trying to put bullet hole on top of bullet hole at 1,000 yards, I don't know that I could do that with a daytime scope with good ammo without
I can
removing my.
answer that question. You
Yeah, I
can't,
mean,
but go ahead.
so
Neither
so
can I.
yeah, that's kind of an unrealistic expectation, especially when you're not going to shoot that far at night. I mean, let's be honest. The vast majority of hunting at night is done well under 400 yards, most of the time under 200 yards. So, and for me, under 100 yards. So, you can absolutely do that with the quality mounts that we've talked about today. Now, I'll say this: And use a little common sense here, because I did not use common sense. I was, you talk about on a trip of a lifetime, can you trust a QD mount? Um, I would say yes. I have, and I did. I had a buck on my property, and I never have good sized buck. I finally had one, and I used a rifle and a scope that I had taken the scope off half a dozen times, and I did not check the zero. I didn't re-zero it, and I made a further shot than I typically do, mom, close to a couple hundred yards, and it hit right where it was supposed to, and no problem at all. Now, should I have checked my zero on a hunt of a lifetime? Yes, I should have. I was lazy and I didn't do that. So if go with what your gut tells you. If your gut tells you, hey, you know what? I'm just going to check the zero just to make sure, because I've got a big buck or whatever I've been chasing, a mountain lion, whatever. It's a once in a lifetime shot and I've got to be dead on. Yeah, check your zero. Absolutely. If you're going out and you're trying to shoot a hog at 200 yards and you're wondering if you're going to be able to drop it, you're not going to have a problem at all with any of the quality QD mounts that we talked about right now. I don't know if that puts a lot of doubt to rest, Jason, but what I do know is that when we do talk to people on the phone and we explain how often we are taking these scopes on and off rifles, and they see our hunting videos, and I tell, they're like, oh, I saw this hunting video you did, and I said, yeah, the scope that I use was probably taken on and off half a dozen times. And so they're like, okay, that's good enough for me. It is, they work great. They do give you so much more uses for your scope, and whether it's storage, taking it off, using it in the field, taking it on and off. There's just really, QD mounts have changed our uses for these optics in the last 3 or 4 years, honestly, to be able to have a multifunctional thermal optic out in the field. I don't know,
Yeah.
Jason. Maybe
So
people feel
so
better about it. Maybe they don't, but they
he,
do absolutely work.
here's the thing. At the end of the day, I know Hans and I agree on this, and I kind of started here, so I think we'll end here. You need to be confident with your equipment. And that is just true. I mean, if you're not confident, you're not a good shooter. I mean, you just have to be. Because at the end of the day, when you get up there, whether it's on a bench or whether it's in the field, and you're having, it's about to pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to know that the equipment is good. Whatever's about to happen, if I miss or I'm off 2 inches, or that's on me. Okay. And so if we have the confidence in the equipment, then it makes us a more confident shooter. All I got to do is hold it steady and pull the trigger and squeeze it, and I can do this. So you have to be confident. And there's nothing wrong with, I mean, I think, a lot of hunters do this understandably, whether they're hog hunting or elk hunting, is maybe they've gone out, they've been hunting 3 or 4 times, haven't shot their rifle, haven't seen anything, and they go out this afternoon and go, hey, you know what? I'm going to go shoot a couple rounds before I go out and sit in the stand. Why? Confidence. I want to know that rifle's on. And you know what? Maybe it got bumped. Maybe something's off. You find that. But most often, you shoot, you pull the trigger, boom. It's like you just get this instant. I got this, man. I said, bullseye. Let's go. Don't shoot another one. I don't need to shoot a box. I just nailed that. Let's go to the deer stand, whatever that is. So if you need that confidence of, hey, I know these guys are saying I can take this off and on, but every time I take it off, I'm going to go shoot it. I say go for it. It's not costing us anything. We're not at all. We're not trying to be the preachers of the don't ever go test this. No, not at all. We want you to be confident. But what we are trying to do is give you the confidence of this is not just Hans's opinion or my opinion. I would say that in the last, 3 to 4 years, probably 80, maybe plus 80 plus percent of every thermal rifle scope from any major brand is sitting on top of a quick detach mount. I mean, most of them right out of the box. And so we're talking to people, again, our customers who've bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scopes from us over and over and over, and they're using these, and they see it's, again, this is not just two guys out here who are preaching this. This is the general consensus of the industry of hunters, it works. And so we want you to have that confidence that, hey, this may be easy. I may can get some benefit out of this. Maybe I can put this same scope between multiple rifles, because that's something all scopes have now, is multiple rifle zeroing profiles. So you can put it on your 223 and your 300 blackout and your 223, whatever. You can move them around. And again, if it makes you feel better to go shoot that, go for it. There's no question. Listen, Hans and I we're closer to 50 than not. All
Hey
right.
man,
And so
why do you got to
we're
cuss me?
no, yeah, we're no young bucks. And I've got scopes down here in my gun safe that I inherited from my dad. And I can promise you that there are scopes that are married to Woodstock bolt action rifles that have been on there since before I was born. All right. So I come from that age of growing up when you put a scope on a rifle, it was until death do us part. They do not come off. Okay? It was holy matrimony. And if you said, I think I want a new scope, you had to go buy a new rifle, because you don't pull those things apart. My deer rifle, the rifle that I've used for most of my adult life, is a Ruger M77 270, bolt action, synthetic with a stainless steel barrel. I bought it for myself when I graduated high school. I'd saved up money and gotten some money. I said, I want a good rifle that I can use for the rest of my life. I bought a Leupold scope, put it on there, and that was nearly 30 years ago, and it's never come off. And as far as I'm concerned, it's not gonna come off. So I'm making this point to say we're not these youngsters who grew up with video games and we don't care. No, this has been an evolution for us. All right, I remember when Hans first started working with me, at Outdoor Legacy, and this has been, I don't know, years ago now. But I remember he was like, I don't trust these quick detach mounts. I don't know about that. And I think that he tells the joke about, getting one so tight he couldn't get it off. That's back in that day of that, oh, tight's good, tighter's better. And if it takes a chisel to get it off and on. And so we've made this evolution. So all I want to say is give it a try. If it doesn't work good enough for you, no problem. At the end of the day, it's still quick and easy to take off and on. And I can promise you that this lever, if you're just going to put it on there and leave it, this lever holds just as good as if you had, an Allen head, bolt in there. Okay. And the last thing that I'll say is on this is people will say, I'm going to put this on a rifle and I'm going to leave it. Maybe the scope doesn't come with a quick detach mount. Maybe it comes with a mount like this. Do I need to get rid of that and buy a quick detach mount? Absolutely not. If you're never going to take it off and on, the only benefit is that you just got a smaller, lighter weight mount. But if you don't care about that, I mean, you're saving an ounce, whatever, if that's not a big deal to you, no, don't go out and buy a QD mount to leave it on the rifle forever. That doesn't make any sense. So don't do that. Unless you just want to. There's no reason that you have to do that. We don't believe that these perform better when left on rifles than permanent style mounts. So, guys, that's our 2 cents on this. We get a lot of questions from people that are new to thermal and night hunting that are asking about quick detach mounts. And the reason is because it's way more common in this industry than it is in daytime scopes. I will say you can use these on daytime scopes as well. There's no reason. It works the exact same way. I've got some Zeiss scopes for my kids in these American Defense Recon mounts right here. And we've pulled them off, put them back on again, tested them, and they're dead on, and everything's good, and they're shooting deer with them. So you can do that with a daytime scope as well. Hans, before I wrap this thing, any last comments, or are you good?
No, I mean, your ability to have a scope that's going to remain completely accurate if you're trying to change it from rifle to rifle, and you've already stated it, is only as good as your rifles are mil spec are basically the same size. If you're having to adjust any tension
Yep,
on it, it's gonna throw your zero
that's
off.
right.
So that's the biggest thing I tell people. Hey, if you're switching it back and forth to rifles, although these are all supposed to be mil spec, if you have to retighten it at all, it is going to affect that. But anyway, if you have questions about
Yep.
it, if you're looking to buy a scope and maybe the scope that you're looking at has a QD mount and you have questions, if you want to purchase from Outdoor Legacy and you just need that final advice before you're ready to go ahead and make that purchase, feel free to give us a call, 877-350-1818. You can definitely, if you have those questions, we'd love to help you out. Jason, last week our show about, if you haven't watched it, about tariffs, you need to go check that out. We've found out some more stuff. I mean, our tariff conversation, I think some of the things have even changed since then of last week.
Yeah,
So
I know.
I think there's some changes coming there too. So anyway, we are here to bring you all of the news, whether it be good news in the industry or bad news. We're here to bring it and dissect it either way. We definitely appreciate you joining us every week here on the Late Night Vision Show. If you want to find out more, I've already given you Outdoor Legacy contact. If you want to find out more about Outdoor Legacy on the social medias platforms, you can Facebook and on Instagram at Outdoor Legacy and Outdoor Legacy Gear on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube, Hans ETX, that's Hans ETX, on Facebook, on an Instagram as well. And as always, you can find all of our past episodes of the Late Night Vision Show. The easiest way to find them probably is on YouTube. Just go in there. You can search for the Late Night Vision Show in the search bar. Our show will probably come up. If you were randomly just recommended this show, we would really love you to subscribe because we don't know how much our shows are distributed, other than just
Mhm.
specific searches. So if you want to make sure that you're catching every episode, you got to subscribe. And it really helps if you turn on the notification little bell. If you click that little bell on our page, that will make sure to send you a notification whenever there is a new show coming out. So, Jason.
All right, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got questions, feel free to leave those in the comments. We can either try to answer them there or come back with a follow up down the road. And again, as always, we would love to have your business at Outdoor Legacy. We would love to be your thermal or night vision scope dealer. So give us a call and we'd be glad to help. Between now and next Thursday, guys, y'all stay safe. Hope to see you again here next week.